XRP US Strategic Crypto Reserve. Hear me out, everybody. This just in from Smoke. He points out XRP is the strongest candidate for the United States Strategic Reserve. Checkmark. Concise reasoning that we're going to get into with documentation, and I've gone ahead and even grabbed some other documents that I found that I thought would be really useful for this outline. So check this out. He points out some things, as in Smoke, about some of this documentation. So what do we basically have? Well, it's this. He mentions that XRP stands out as the strongest candidate for the U.S. Strategic Crypto Reserve because of its unique combination of U.S. origin, global adoption, and robust infrastructure. 100%. As highlighted in the data, the United States lags behind other countries in blockchain dominance, with only 5% of blockchain protocol market cap originating domestically. This is in stark contrast to the internet sector, where US-based companies dominate with a commanding 78% share of the global market cap. XRP, as we know, developed by Ripple, is one of the few globally recognized blockchain protocols rooted in the United States, making it critical as far as it being an asset for repairing this disparity and strengthening America's influence in the rapidly evolving blockchain space. Again, checkmark. With widespread institutional adoption and proven track record of cross-border payment efficiency, XRP provides the stability and utility necessary for a reserve asset. Before we get further into it, let us not at all dismiss some of these statements from here about basically XRP recognized as one of the few globally recognized blockchain protocols rooted in the United States. Who's pointed this out before, literally in publications and some of the PDFs that we reference? And it's not just us, many other people as well. The World Bank. Ever notice they just reference, for example, Ripple and Stellar? And they refer to as global stablecoins long before the whole topic of RLUSD and even USDC. No, not pegged to one, but a global stable coin that would have to have, for example, a high sustainable value. Don't believe me? Look more into that for yourself. As we get further down into this, again, understand some of these key statements. And I'll state this just in case we missed it. With widespread institutional adoption and a proven track record of cross-border payment efficiency, XRP provides that stability and utility necessary for a reserve asset. Additionally, its global reach, as seen in partnerships and operations spanning multiple continents, ensures that it can serve as a bridge currency in the international financial system. At a time when blockchain protocols are increasingly dominated by entities outside the United States, XRP offers a unique opportunity to help the United States catch up and reassert leadership in the sector while providing a compliant, scalable solution for financial innovation. Again, that's key. And like he points out, it's documented. So we're going to jump into some of these visuals. Let's pull up the first one. And it's that United States exposure, how it's insufficient. Okay, so for one, as we zoom in here in the blue and white area, U.S. presence in internet and blockchain, internet companies, of course, those blockchain protocols. XRP only ranks number 4. All right. On top of that, we get further into this Web3 developers by location, percentage of developers, right? And of course, you may feel as though, XRP, while it ranks number 4. Actually, I should say what's significant is that the United States is way down there in the rankings. So it's not that XRP only ranks number 4. Bottom line is the United States. Okay. So as we get further into this, I want to point out some other things. If you're wondering where that source came from, originally came from Pandora, Electric Capital, Blockchain Co-Investors. That was a date from originally November 14th of 2023. Take you to this next visual. I'm going to pull this up on the screen as well. And what we see here is global innovation requires global coverage, right? Leading blockchain enterprise unicorns by region and that was year-end 2024. Of course, we're still in 2025, so we don't have that report yet. But where the case be, you do see here some of this, okay? And like it shows basically a lot of familiar names, right? And again, as we zoom in, the United States, you have, for example, Gemini, Circle, Ripple, so on and so forth. Obviously, like Fireblocks, right? Take you also back to some of the other visuals. I want you guys to see why we point out some of these other key things here. So for me, I want to point out this, and basically it's understanding where we go from here, okay? Because where we go from here is to also reference what most of us know, but again, there's a whole new wave of people who don't know this. You have to remember XRP only needs to do a 20x to dethrone BTC. I know some people are like, oh, only a 20x, like no big deal. Okay, keep in mind, for example, like even on this channel, right? There's a lot of other channels. We've covered XRP since 32 cents here, okay? And for a lot of you guys, you've been into XRP multiple, bull markets, multiple cycles, right? So in reality, since we covered at 32 cents, well, when it hit all-time highs of 365, that was an 11x for you. So from that perspective, do you think we're not going to hit this? I think it's inevitable, but we can agree to disagree. I think that's putting it lightly. This, of course, documented by Wisdom Tree. We're going to jump into that visual. Why point that out? Because in the highlight from Wisdom Tree, they point out to match BTC's market capitalization, XRP's price would need to increase more than 20x from its current levels. Like you see here, this monumental challenge underscores BTC's entrenched dominance and unique value. Boom. Bottom right, Wisdom Tree. And yeah, literally comes from wisdomtree.com in this particular PDF. And as we take you further into it, again, even in the visual where it shows the chart, I mean, look what it mentions here. All right. It's all there. The historical performance, etc., etc. So the road ahead, can XRP catch up? I think the answer is yes. Let's pull up the next part. This is recent, as of today, just a few hours ago. It's not exactly breaking, but it's a few hours ago. Watcher Guru wants us to see this for the most part. White House crypto report does not include details about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Huh. Well, what the heck is going on? Well, that brings us to this. Back to smoke. What is smoke at? It says a combination of the Ripple case being dropped in market structure bill will basically bring proper crypto clarity to the United States. For a lot of you guys that are the OGs, you're like, yeah, yawn. I know that. A lot of people don't. Respect those that don't. Simultaneous Catalysts. This comes directly from a sitting United States congressman. Let's get into this. So for one, I want to share this highlight. You already put in the quotes, but I decided to ask, I use like a little forensics tool, like where did this citation come from? Because, we should always cite everything. And Smoke does an amazing job with that, right? But I do want to zoom in a little bit about what he has. So for one, Smoke points this out, and basically speaking, if you're wondering, like, again, where this came from, as you see here, highlighted from Congressman Ritchie Torres. So, again, Democrat from New York, shared his opinion after the issuance of the decision on the motion for summary judgment by Judge Annalisa Torres in the SEC versus Ripple Labs that a combination of the Ripple case and a market structure bill will bring the United States to where it needs to be in regard to crypto regulation. Basically speaking, Ripple is the head of it all when it comes to where we go from here, right? So they're the top of the sword, top of the mountain, all of the rest will come. That's the way I look at it, and I think that's the way a lot of you guys look at it too. So what happens from here? Well, before we get into all that, again, I want to show you guys some of the sources. This comes from ibannet.org. This document is referred to as Metaverse Project, again, in regard to the United States, right? I'll show you a little bit more about this. But again, just in case if you're wondering, again, where it came from, here's the highlights. So he highlighted, so this all matches up, okay? And that's cool that he basically took a snippet of that. But again, back to this. Current United States regulatory framework, referencing some of these things. And then if you want to see the top of the document, where does it literally come from? Well, like I just mentioned, IBAN, IBA net. I call IBAN ET, call it whatever you want. Global voice of the legal profession, and IBA intellectual property, communications, and technology law committee. And what do you see? In the PDF, this is 10-page PDF, excuse me, digital regulations in the metaverse era, United States. Don't ever forget about this whole topic of the metaverse. Metaverse, of course, really stood out 2021 as speculative. Everything stood out in 2021 as far as altcoins go, as far as speculative assets. Now, the rails have been laid. The buildings have been built, if you want to call that. The virtual buildings have been built. The virtual malls, right, have been built. We need to get some butts in the seats, right? Well, what happens when proper regulations get put in? I mean, come on, everybody. How many examples have you seen of physical malls being closed in your area? We went from physical to digital. Say what you want. I'm old school. I miss the days of, going down to the mall and whatnot. But, those prices were high, but it's an experience. Will we have balance moving forward? We'll call it what you will. The point is referencing some of these things, even about the metaverse. A whole flock of people are going to be using these things. You think that Meta, formerly known as Facebook, invested billions of dollars into some of this infrastructure if they felt as though it would go nowhere and it was just too speculative to me, to them? I don't think they're going to do that. And again, we can agree to disagree. So basically, the other thing I want to point out is this. So in summary, here should be your key takeaways in regard to what we just talked about, and we're going to elaborate a little bit more. The Ripple case decision by Judge DeCENT Torres has sparked renewed interest in cryptocurrency regulation following a key ruling that could influence how digital assets are classified in the United States. Congressman Ritchie Torres of New York, his support for crypto aligns with broader legislative efforts, including the Digital Asset Market Clarity, which is literally called the Clarity Act, introduced in May 2025, which aims to provide a regulatory framework for digital assets. The Responsible Financial Innovation Act, which was introduced in 2022, has in fact set the stage for ongoing bipartisan efforts to integrate digital assets, of course, into existing U.S. financial laws, potentially impacting the market structure bill that we just talked about. But if anything, I mean, we're already at the part where we have the Genius Act. So where we go from here? Great question, right? Let's jump back to referencing Ritchie Torres, 15th District of New York. And it's this document that some people who are new are not aware of, or some of you guys need a refresher. Why do we reference these things? Because it's a reminder that he sent this particular letter to the dishonorable Gary Gensler. He sent it to him back on January 18th of 2023. I want to zoom in a little bit more and share this with you guys. So back then, basically, Representative Torres sent this, and he mentions specifically, he's writing Gensler to inquire if the SEC intends to come to terms with the folly of the Commission's crusade against crypto assets in light of the latest decision, of course, by Judge DeCENT Torres of the Southern District of New York. Needless to say, regulation by enforcement, of course, then had a dreadful day in court. But the landmark legal opinion that Judge Torres resoundingly rejected, well, it's the whole thing of regulatory overreach of the SEC, which had been indiscriminately declaring all crypto assets except BTC to be securities. My goodness. By emphasizing the need to prove the presence of an investment contract, at least at that time, Judge Torres had reasoning that represented a return to a rigorous application of, let's face the outdated Howey test. That, of course, been applied to sloppily very sloppily by the SEC. So he went into a lot of detail about this, but basically, if you go down to the bottom area, he points out that even though the SEC reserves the right to appeal the district court's decision, the chances of an immediate appeal are vanishing small because there remains an issue in the case yet to be resolved. But basically, he references the Torres doctrine, where it says will likely command in future legal cases. The tenuous legal foundation for litigation against Coinbase has, of course, crashed down, and rightfully so. But he says, in addition to issuing findings of law, Judge Torres at the time made a point of faulting the SEC for conspicuously failing to provide fair notice to the crypto industry. All right. So basically speaking, he also points out the whole thing like sent a bunch of mixed messages. Now we're going well past the era of Gary Gensler, but I also want to point out this, because again, this is important to actually analyze some of this stuff. So this came from news.bitcoin.com. Okay. And again, this was, I believe, I want to say just a few months ago, right? Not that long ago. It doesn't have the date, but when I looked it up on Google, it, shared that was just a few months ago. So again, like it says, Congress launches a crypto caucus. Is this the start of a policy revolution? That should be your key takeaway from all of this, that the policy revolution is so close here. All right, and I'll show you one last video from basically Rosie Rios. That's important. So as we get down into it, again, why even bother with all of this? Well, here's your key takeaway. In summary, Torres announced on social media, right, X, back on March 3rd of this year, 2025, that he and Representative Tom Emmer were at the time launching the Congressional Crypto Caucus, and of course, like it says in quotations, we hope to build a unified bipartisan coalition to cement America's leadership in the future digital assets and blockchain innovation. Emmer emphasized the significance of voter support for crypto-friendly policies, stating, of course, on X at the time, millions of American voters made their voices heard, of course, at the ballot box last November 2024. You elected the most pro-crypto Congress and presidential administration in history. To capitalize on this opportunity, Representative Torres and I launched the Congressional Crypto Caucus. Again, I realize that there's a majority of us that are the hardcore enthusiasts of XRP Army and all this utility. We already know this, but again, there's a lot of new people who don't know this. So another X post, Emmer described the Crypto Caucus will serve as a unified voting bloc in Congress, a nonpartisan group of members ready to mobilize to support and defend open, permissionless, and private innovation, yes, in the United States. Are we not paying attention to this? Are we not realizing how this all adds up, especially with Smoke's findings, some of my own findings, and how it all comes together? Now, this is important. Some of you guys did see this maybe on other particular channels. There's a lot of them, right? But again, a lot of people, I don't think, have seen this. This was just roughly 2 days ago, depending on when you get this video. Shout out to XRP Governor for it. It was breaking at the time, but where the case be, former United States Treasurer Rosie Rios confirms she joined Ripple, okay, yes, Ripple, because of XRP. Again, I'll state it again, because of XRP. These yahoos that keep jumping into the comments, they're saying, well, it's just Ripple. It's not XRP. It's just Ripple. Give me a break at this particular point. Nothing against you guys, but seriously. All right. This is getting ridiculous. So XRP isn't a concept. It's the blueprint for global finance. 12 hours to lift off, at least at that time, right? The government will follow. All right. We're going to play this. This is good. It's going to reference some recent things, 2025, some other past things that she said. And again, consider liking this video, consider subscribing. You know the drill. If I still need to earn it, well, then that's okay too. Let's go ahead and play this. We'll jump right back here shortly to wrap it all up. Here we go.
What 4 months make in terms of giving that green light for innovation to actually happen. You're going to hear me say a lot, the train has left the station. So, thank you. Bitcoin is here to stay. blockchain is here to stay. And you know, the unfortunate part about government traditionally, it doesn't lead, it follows. And a lot of it is because you don't have a lot of the kind of the subject matter experts who are literally coming into government. And so that's why the fact that this administration has taken the lead to form these task forces to actually bring business and the expertise into those conversations, you know, we're literally playing catch up from the last 10 years where things didn't happen. Now things are happening. And the fact that there's now this momentum, that clarity is going to happen now for the very first time. You know, crypto has been in the news time and time again, and I just want to share that I am on the board of Ripple. Ripple is XRP. And so when people ask me the question, why did you join the board of Ripple? I joined the board of Ripple because XRP serves a purpose. It's a function that facilitates cross-border payments. It's not some store of value, kind of arbitrary value that is not pegged to anything. This is actually what legitimate financial institutions use specifically for cross-border payments. So instead of days and dollars, it's seconds and cents. And that is the future, in my opinion.
That is the future, in her opinion. You share that sentiment with Rosie Rios. And think about what she said. XRP is not a store of value. Right. I've said this quote before, and again, I really need to get this as merch. And that is, and again, this is your key phrase in closing. Type this into the comments if you listen to the entire outline. Utility in motion is greater than a store of value. Now, people will say, no, that's not the case. Technically, you'd be right, but what's the difference? The difference moving forward is getting to a utility run. A utility run has never happened in the entire history of any of this. You cannot reference something that hasn't happened until it happens. We will pay attention to 4-year cycles. I think that's a responsible thing to do. That's just my own opinion. But the disruptors, everybody, how many times have you, over your lifetime, heard of the disruptors of it all? Obviously, Google was a disruptor at one point. Intel was a disruptor. Netflix was a disruptor. Countless examples of technology being the disruptors. So what bigger disruptor of 4-year cycles would be better than, for example, as a candidate for XRP or some of these other ones tied to, obviously, this type of technology? Your Stellars, your XTCs, your Quants, your Hedera H-bars, your Constellation Days. We can go on and on and on and on and on. Your Jasmines, right? Anything with real world utility moving forward. I would even say BSV. For some of you guys, that's an unpopular thing. They have great tech. But anyway, the point is innovation. IOTA even stands out there, right? We could go, again, on and on about this. But the point is, these disruptive technologies in regard to the bigger picture, would that disrupt a 4-year cycle? Well, wouldn't that take liquidity away from it all? I did say that was the end of the outline. It basically is. So do me a solid. Again, share this channel with others. I really would appreciate it. And as the saying goes, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. There's going to be a song that would play at the end. If it's not for you, that's okay too. Check it out though. If it's your taste and you want that song, there's an area where you can download it, and that's on the Patreon. Links are in the description. You'll also see a card that will pop up at the end. Thanks again, everybody. I really do appreciate you all. May the Lord Jesus bless you all. I truly mean that. We will see you on the next one.
So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up. Child, things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Oh, keep your head up, child. Things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Hey yo, I remember Marvin Gaye used to didn't seem so tough. And though we had it rough, we always had enough. I huffed and puffed about my curfew and broke the rules. Ran with the local crew and had a smoke or two. And I realized mama really paid the price. She nearly gave her life to raise me right. And all I had to give her was my pipe dream of how I rock the mic and make it to the bright screen. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And in the end it seems I'm heading for the pit. I try to find my friends but they're blowing in the wind. Last night my buddy lost his whole family. That's how I rock the mic and make it to the bright screen. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And in the end it seems I'm heading for the pit. I try to find my friends but they're blowing in the wind. Last night my buddy lost his whole family. It's gonna take the man in me to talk to this inside. Though he seems to man and never let up. I try to keep my head up and still keep from getting wet up. You know it's funny when it rains it pours. Keep your head up, ooh, child, things will get brighter. Keep your head up, ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, ooh, child, things will get brighter. And to all the ladies having babies on their own, I know it's kind of rough when you feeling all alone. Daddy's long gone, and he left you by your own. So thank the Lord for my kids, but then nobody else won't let you all by yourself. Cause I think we can make it, in fact I'm sure. And if you fall, stand tall and come back for more. Cause ain't nothing worse than when your son wants to know why his daddy don't love him no more. You can't complain, he was helpless. Held up a hand without a man feeling helpless. Because there's too many things for you to deal with. Dying inside, but outside you're looking fearless. While the tears is rolling down your cheeks, you steady hoping things don't unravel this week. Cause if it did, you couldn't take it. And don't blame me, I was given this world, I couldn't make it. And now my son's getting older and older and older from having the world on his shoulders. While the rich kids is driving me, I'm still trying to hold on to my surviving friend. And it's crazy, it seems it'll never let up. But please, you got to keep your head up. You got to keep your head up.
How would you like to earn an extra $100, $200, or even $500 a day, even more than that? I have many friends that are earning money every single day trading futures on BTCC. It's a simple process, and even if you don't want to learn how to trade, you could follow a trader on the site and let him do the trading for you. I'm currently following numbers, not feelings, so even if you don't know how to trade, there is a way to make money. But I suggest learn how to trade, earn you some extra money on BTCC. It's easy, you don't have to KYC, and you don't have to use a virtual private network VPN. This is a wonderful site. They've been around since 2011. Give them a shot. Also, when you earn that extra money, you can store that on your D'CENT wallet. The D'CENT wallet was not affected by the recent XRP A debacle, where the backdoor of many wallets was open and there was a breach. So D'CENT wallet was not affected by that. D'CENT wallet is as safe as you keep your seed phrase. It's a wonderful product, and you can get the discount by using the link. It's the only way to get the affiliate discount, and that is to use an affiliate link. So that link is popping up on the upper right side of your screen, and it is the one that you will use. You will also get free shipping. Pick you up a D'CENT wallet today. Secure your assets. If you don't have them stored in a wallet and sitting on an exchange, then you're at risk. So pick you one up today.